Marieke, what did Bailey have to say on this issue?
Good morning, Crystal. I am standing out here at the back of Province House, really on Granville Street. As you can see behind me, crews are setting up still for this rally starting at noon today. About a dozen crew have been working here since 1 a.m., the wee hours of the morning, to get up a jumbotron, a stage. You can see all of that happening behind me. But as you mentioned, Jamie Bailey was on the show just about half an hour ago, and he is very critical about how the government has unrolled and announced changes to the tax credit, but also just the changes themselves. Have a look at what Jamie Bailey had to say earlier on the Morning News.
The government knows the cost, but what they ignored was the benefit of having the jobs here, young, talented Nova Scotians, the very people that we want to encourage, actually, and have more of. So they missed the value of what this means to Nova Scotia. This is actually the economy of the future that we all want to build, and so we should be finding ways to encourage it and not cut it.
And so that is just part of what Jamie Bailey says. He says that he would like to see government find more cuts within the administration of government before cutting tax credits like this, which he says does help to grow our economy. All of this is happening, the preparations for this rally today is happening after a rather confusing day yesterday following a meeting between the film industry representatives and the finance department. The film industry reps said that it looked like the government might be willing to compromise, but on the other hand, Diana Whalen, the finance minister, said no, they are not willing to. And so have a look at what the two of them had to say after their meeting yesterday.
They have agreed that what they've put forward is not workable. So we do consider that considerable progress.
They have a problem with this. We do not. It works for government. It works for other industries to have their incentives tied to taxes.
So there you see a bit of crosstalk between the two sides following the meeting yesterday at the Finance Department. Diana Whalen did suggest, though, that she was still hoping to find some common ground for these changes. However, she did say that no changes that she agrees to will come with more money. And right now, the Finance Department has set aside $12 million going forward for the film industry. That's half of what was set aside before. The film industry tax credit generally costs about $24 million. Now, to recap what the changes are, the government says that rather than refunding 50 to 65% of labor costs, to productions, they would only refund 25%, and the rest of the labor costs could be taken back as a tax credit. Right now it's a refundable, and that means that the government is actually paying out money before even taxes come in. So that's what the Finance Department says is not affordable, but there is a lot of debate around these numbers, and the film industry, for its part, says that, frankly, the Finance Department just has their numbers wrong. Crystal?
Okay, well, you mentioned the numbers, and they can be confusing for everybody involved, especially people watching. But why is there so much confusion over these numbers, particularly with how much the film industry generates as far as revenue for the province?
Yeah, so the province is saying that the film industry generates about $64 million or $66 million for the province in terms of economic benefits. The film industry, on the other hand, says it's closer to about $120 million to $150 million, depending on who you talk to. So obviously a huge divergence in terms of what those numbers are. The why there's that divergence is a bit unclear. There's a bit of spin from both sides, but a lot of it comes from how you calculate those numbers. So the film industry says the government is only looking at the direct impact. So the direct number of people who are directly employed from film productions, for example, stage crew, lighting, cameras, those sorts of economic benefits. What the film industry says, though, is that ignores a huge subset of the financial impact because there are spin-off benefits from the film industry. For example, caterers, hotels, makeup artists, hairdressers, all of those spin-off benefits the film industry says the government is not including in their numbers. And we haven't really gotten a direct answer from the government on that. The government, though, still says that even if you include the indirect employment from the film industry, the numbers from their perspective still don't make sense. So the film industry says they're going to release new numbers either today or later on this week to sort of be the counter argument to the government's numbers. We haven't seen those yet, and so that will be something that we'll have to continue to follow, Crystal.
All right, well, thanks, Marieke. You're doing a great job. I appreciate all the hard work you're doing. And I know you have a number of guests coming in throughout the morning to look at this issue from various sides. So we will check in with you in half an hour. That's Global's Marieke Walsh reporting live from the legislature this morning.